Banks revising the rules again for returning to offices. At Goldman Sachs, talk center around asking staff to wear masks at work. Morgan Stanley just informed the staff they must provide proof of vaccinations. The honor system no longer flies. Let's get more on this with Bloomberg's Dani Burger. Dani?
Matt, well, the issue at hand for these banks, a lot of them were very bullish in getting their employees back to the office. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, for example, both of them were really early on this trend. But confronting the new reality of Delta means that if they're back in the office, you need to make some changes to make sure your staff isn't catching COVID. Now, a lot of this is very common sense. Like you said, Goldman Sachs mulling the idea of having their employees wear masks again, doing spot checks for positive COVID tests. Morgan Stanley, their proof of vaccination, so they haven't asked staff to fully come back in yet. But earlier in the month, you'll recall, they did have 2 staff members who tested positive for COVID, despite the fact that they were fully vaccinated. So again, it might be this sort of liability question, as if you have people in, you need to be taking these steps to prevent the spread of Delta variant.
Well, and of course, Dani, these banks operate where you are in London as well. And in that area of the world, it's basically just the regulations and the restrictions around masks and vaccines are unchanged from what they already were, right?
That certainly is part of it. But Kaylee, I will say that we had, so-called Freedom Day here in the UK. Whether it was that or not means that some of those mask mandates have been lifted. But I think it's maybe more of a cultural thing, that there's more hybrid working here. Certainly in these banks' offices in London, you can still see people wearing masks. So they haven't yet changed here in the UK and really for most of Europe. So it really is Wall Street that's been taking the lead. But perhaps they acted a little too soon, because those offices might start soon looking like the ones here in London.